Hi everyone, so excited to show you the Roland V-1HD HD video switcher. This is actually a really cool bit of hardware. I've already done a couple of videos on this already, but this one is more, I guess, my review. So stay tuned for the deets. So what is this? It's a hardware interface that allows you to switch 4 video inputs of HDMI up to 1080p. It does both the 50 and 59.94 frame rates, which is pretty groovy. And I'm going to go through a couple of basics. I'm going to show you the cameras I've got set up with this, the connections and the cables. We're going to look at some remote controlling of this as well, and also some other cool features. So let's get stuck straight into it. Basic overview of the hardware. We've got what we call bus A and bus B, and essentially basically what we are aiming for here is, let's say we've got the 4 cameras inputted onto here. We can use this T-bar, which is our fader control, and we can camera 4 and camera 1 is the one that's currently on, and as I move that fader control you'll see it swipe across and back again. Now that's got the wipe setting here. We can change it to mix, and then it does it that way. And you can even just pause it halfway or 3/4 all the way. Now these transformer controls will just automate that whole thing for you. Notice when I do that, it changes from red up there to green here, and then vice versa. So basic overview of this is got the output fade, goes to black or white. We've got some effects A and B here. These are your input channels on bus A and bus B. These are your fader controls and your transformer and your T-bar. Over here we've got some memory, freeze, and a few other functions. But let's have a look at the connections on the back. So across the back we've got, in the corner here, it's hard to see on here but you'll see on the diagram, this is your output switch. And it goes from 1080p, 1080i, and I think 720p if I remember rightly, without even looking at it. You've also got your power input, your power switch, USB, which connects to your computer or your iPad. This is your output HDMI, this is your preview HDMI, and these are your 4 HDMI inputs. Then we've got an audio out, RCA left and right, an audio input. On this side here, Midi in and out or through, and on this side here we've got some audio outputs for headphones and a mic input, and there's also a couple of little level adjusters on there. On this particular setup that I've got here, I've got the connections. I've got 2 GoPros, so the first GoPro is this one you're looking at here with the connections. Second GoPro is this one over here. Hi, that's my second GoPro. I've also got a Zoom Q4 camera which is doing the overhead shot, and the other input there that I've got is the laptop screen, which is over here, and I'll get to that in a sec. As for audio inputs, I'm currently using a Zoom H6 to record my voice, and that's coming in through this audio input here, and you can see as I'm talking the little audio light here is flashing. Let's have a look at some FX. So if we turn some FX on here, let's turn bus FX on here, and we'll fade to there, and we'll get that effects happening for you. And what we want to do B is turn it on, and there is our other input, and we can move it around like that. And that's what these effects do. Turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. It's that easy. Right, what I want to show you now is I want to show you what the input, the output looks like on the preview channel. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly fade across to the HDMI output on that preview channel so you can see what's happening. Now as I change my red zone selections up here, green zone selections up here, you'll see it change red and green little squares around it. So that's actually like a little visual representation there. But really what's cool about this is if I hold down the tap BPM button here, it'll bring up a setup screen, and you can go through each of these setup instructions here, and there's pages and pages and pages of stuff in here for you to play with. So that's the setup screen there. There is also a memory, and as we hit memory, we can change some settings in the memory, and we can also recall our memory as well from here. So the memory will record these effect settings on and off, all the button channels, wipe, mix and cut, the T-bar and the transformer positions. So that's what memory does. It's very handy if you've got this running to a different gig. Rightio, let's just have a jump into the remote control software. Alright, the remote control software is basically the same as the interface across the top here. Quick access to the memories. But also you can see the audio mixer here. You can see the A and B effects, the transition effects, and the transformer and adjustments for there. Also you can go into the system and make a whole bunch of changes here, back it up, restore it, initialize it, make some Midi changes there. Pretty cool. Let's go to the iPad version. Now, so for me to do this, let's turn this off. Let's grab the USB cable. Alright, so let's have a look at a couple of other features that are in here. And that is that it's got some, I already showed you the audio mixer, but it's also got effects in the audio system. So let's turn on the effects button here. So that's effects on the audio, effects. Pretty cool. Oh, I should have mentioned too while I was in here that there's some mastering, high pass and low pass filtering. There's a high pass filter there, there's a gate, there's a compressor, there's this audio follow mode, which is pretty cool. So if you're switching from camera to camera, it will do the audio follow. And that's about it, friends. So let's look at the other bits and pieces that are groovy. The Midi side of things is pretty cool. You can, probably saw this before, you can set up Midi on this, and the way this works is based on Midi, so it'll change based on your beat per minute. So you might have like a drum machine or something, or a sequencer, and you can actually have these videos changing based on your beat, which is actually pretty handy. But another thing that it can do is you can use a Midi device to control this. Just input your Midi into the side there, and you can use any type of Midi controller, and you just configure pads or sliders or pots to the right CC number, and it will control this whole unit remotely over Midi. This other feature is we're going to need a camera connection kit cable and an iPad. Alright, and we just plug that into there. There you go. You're now connected via iPad, so you don't have to bring your laptop. You can do all the cool stuff. You can do it on the iPad. And it's kind of slightly different setup to the PC application, but you do have system settings. So there you go. That's pretty cool. And as I'm changing things on the iPad or on the unit, it's corresponding across as well. So nicely done. So yeah, all you need is a camera connection kit cable and an iPad. Lovely. Last thing it needs, let's talk about what's missing. Well, you can probably hear that it's pretty noisy. I'm gonna turn it off for a sec, so you'll see this camera here disappear, and you can just hear that fan. Turn it back on again. What would be nice in this is the ability to set up a lower third. You can do it with some kind of funkery, but basically just have the ability maybe in the remote control software. The ability maybe to record the output on an SD card would be good. Sounds like it's got a fairly beefy sort of processor in here, but it obviously isn't enough. Just a little SD card slot here, there's plenty of room on the front, and then maybe just to record the output. That'd be cool. Obviously a quieter fan would be nice. Maybe the ability to run other resolutions or mix the resolutions. From what I can work out, and I could be wrong, but I think all the resolutions have to be the same on the inputs for this to work. So all the frame rates are the same and all the resolutions the same. So 1080p 50 frames per second or 1080p 60 frames per second across. So it'd be nice to be able to have some mixed resolutions. Other than that, I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, a lot of people would say, why doesn't it do 4K? Well, Roland do make a higher model. I forget the name of the model now, but it'll be in the description below. That's a more advanced switcher than this. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed my review of the V1HD, and we'll chat soon. Catch you later.